Good morning, everyone. My name is Vincent Domino, and I have here my co-researcher, Alisa Bautista, and we are here today to present our research entitled The Effectiveness of the Public Act number 710 in Infographic for Dispute Resolution in Moving Practice. Due to the business of our lawyers, this presentation is held in the meeting. However, um, we are here right now in to present this research paper. And all of our lawyers have their own copy of our research paper for reference. So to start it off, in introduction, the Talmapang Barangay or the Barangay Justice System was as a unique and important system in the Philippines. It's designed to resolve disputes in the community level. It was created to maintain peace and order by offering a simple, informal, and a local place to settle conflicts without putting too much pressure on formal court systems. Rooted in Filipino tradition, the KK encouraged to turn these settlements through mediation and conciliation, led by respected community leaders, called Lupon Tagapangayapa. At that time, there were about 48,000 barangays across the country, each with its own KK center that helped provide justice to a local community. So despite its widespread presence and importance, the KP system faced challenges in its implementation and effectiveness. Some studies reveal that while KP promotes easier access to justice and conflict resolution, it has also struggled with issues like limited training, lack of knowledge, insufficient resources, and varying levels of awareness among community members. So furthermore, integrating human rights standards and understanding cultural differences were the key factors that affected how well attended. So the study focused on the city barangay in Bukatan City and urbanizing barangay during the changing social economic conditions that made resolving disputes more complicated. Evaluating the efficiency and resident awareness of the Katarungan barangay system in this area was important to ensure it continued to provide fair, timely, and accessible justice for the people. For the statement of the problem, the first here is the demographic profile of the barangay residents and officials in terms of age, gender, and experience from their residency. Second is the effectiveness of Public Act 7160, 7160 in the barangay of Montenegro Cavite in terms of dispute resolution and settlement. Third is what extends the text along from barangay handle the expenses or fees, if there are any, of the disputing parties during all of their confrontations. Filing fees, receiving documents, and other fees. Fourth is what extent do the barangay residents know about their katarungan on barangay effectiveness in their dispute resolution. Fifth is what level of technological effectiveness of barangay secretary duty when recording and keeping those recordings for future purposes in terms of accuracy, records, accessibility of records, preservation of records. And sixth is the level of effectiveness of digital infrastructure where the dispute resolution are held. Sanitation for appropriate space, installation. Um, Seven is the level of compliance of the barangay officials in using their power and performing their designated functions and duties. Kung taga-pamayapa, secretary for the court, pangkat, nagkatapos. And lastly, there are number of significant differences between respondents of municipal residents in effectiveness of the public act are not zero in infographic for resolution in University.
For our research design, this study used a quantitative descriptive correlational research design. The descriptive part reported the effectiveness of Republic Act 7160 in resolving disputes in Muntinlupa City through the examination of barangay records and survey answers. On the other hand, the correlation report determined the correlation between chosen variables like awareness of the residents, uh, regarding the RA 7160 and the nature of their cases, satisfaction rating, and settlement outcome. This was an appropriate design since it does not only show the presence situation of the barangay conflict resolution, but also enumerated factors which were potentially linked to its success. Scholar in that 2012 assigned descriptive correlation of studies as a study that analyzed the relations among variables as they existed naturally without manipulation on the other part of the researcher. For the participants of the study, the participants of this research were the residents of Barangay Putatan who had with or without involvement in dispute resolution proceedings, together with the Katarungang pang-barangay officials and personnel such as the Lupon chief. Their perceptions gave valuable insight into the effectiveness of the Public Act 7160 in resolving disputes. For the research instrument, our clinical 2065, a research instrument is a chosen tool used by the researchers in conducting activities to collect data in order for it to become systematic and easy. In this study, the research instrument was the survey questionnaire administered through Google Forms, and the survey questionnaire was designed to measure the effectiveness of the Public Act 7160 in terms of dispute resolution, settlement rate, and awareness of the respondents about the said local government code. The survey questionnaire contained microscale items to attain quantifiable responses, and the instrument was subjected to validation to ensure the validity, clarity, and reliability of the content.
For the data collection, the researchers first obtained initial consent from barangay Tupatan to carry out the study and view relevant records. The survey questionnaire was then administered to participants identified to gather quantitative information. The barangay records were also reviewed by the researchers to verify responses and offer supporting data regarding numbers, types, and outcomes of disputes. The information that was collected was utilized to further represent the prevailing situation of conflict resolution in barangay Putatan to identify the potential correlations between variables such as awareness, type of case satisfaction, and settlement results.
And this part will be the answers to the statement of the problem and results. For our statement of the problem 1, what is the demographic profile of the barangay residents and barangay officials in terms of frequency and percentage of respondents in terms of age? The age distribution of the 398 respondents indicates a predominance of younger adults with 73% age between 18 and 37 years. In contrast, respondents aged 38 to 57 years represented a smaller proportion of the sample, while those aged 58 years and above contributed only 2.3%, suggesting that the study population was partly skewed toward younger age groups. Table 2 for the frequency and percentage of respondents in terms of gender. The gender ratio in Table 2 of the total 398 respondents presents that the females were the most to take up the most when answering the researchers' survey with a 56% rate compared to the males that have a small to medium gap of 41%. The non-binary respondents were very few in terms of 3% in the total population of the 398 respondents. For Table 3, frequency and percentage of respondents in terms of dispute resolution experiences, it showcases that the residents' respondents in Barangay Putatan that majority of the leading data are residents that have not yet experienced of filing for a dispute resolution with 54%, and the following are the residents that only witnessed with only 24%. Then last will be the residents that have experienced filing with a tiny gap of 22.4%. For the last table, frequency and percentage of respondents in terms of residency, the residency is one of the important parts to verify the respondents' residing location. The leading data of the survey is the residents who live 6 years onwards in Barangay Putatan with 71.10%. Next are the close gap of residents that have lived between 4 to 6 years with 12.60% and 2 to 4 years with 10.30% in the barangay. Then there are residents that only live or just resided in 1 to 2 years with 12% and less than 1 year with 1.30%.
So for SOP2, the effectiveness of the Republic Act number 5160 in the barangays of Punta Lucas in terms of Table 5 to resolution. So Table 5 presents the assessment of respondents in terms of how the implementation of the Republic Act has improved the resolution dispute in the barangay department city. As depicted in the table, as you can see on your hands right now, the respondents agreed that the implementation of the Public Act 710 has enhanced the resolution of dispute in the barangay. So implying that the law has been contributed contributed to certain conflicts at community level. Similarly, the limitation clause from the Republic Act 710 has helped reduce the number of unsettled disputes in the barangay Tatan. Um, Implying that the mediation procedures are effective in addressing and resolving conflicts among residents. The overall mean of 2.59 with a standard deviation of 66 shows that respondents are generally agreed that the implementation of the Public Act 7160 has favorable impact on the dispute resolution process in the Barangay Patata. In the table 6, the settlement rate, it shows that the assessment show that the respondents of the effectiveness of dispute resolution in barangay level in terms of settlement rate depicted on the table. The respondent agreed that the most disputes are settled in the barangay level, that the very less lead to the lower report, which shows that the barangay system is effective in maintaining peace and order within the community. They also believe that the residents generally abide by terms of settlement arranged by the barangay as a means of settlement dispute shows that amicable settlement process is respected and complied with the parties concerned. The overall mean of 2.58 with a standard deviation of 0.34 depicts that the respondents generally agreed that the dispute solution process at the barangay level is effective in maintaining peace and order in the community.
For third SOP, knowing the extent of the Katarungan Pambarangay handle the expenses or fees if there were any of the disputing parties during all of their consultations in terms of expenses. Table 7 shows that the assessment of the respondents on the Katarungan Pambarangay on handling expenses in 40 disputes. As per the presented table shown on your copies, they mostly agreed that the filing fee of 80 pesos does not pose a financial barrier, while also agreeing that they're getting reassurance that all documents, related services are part of the barangay's regular functions and do not require extra payment. With all that in place, most of the respondents agreed that the affordability of the settlement proceedings encourages residents to resolve disputes locally. The overall mean of 2.82 and standard deviation of 0.53 shows the majority of the residents agreed that the expenses when filing for dispute resolutions were handled well by the Hatarungan Pambarangay.
For SLB4, to what extent do the barangay residents know about their Katarungan barangay effectiveness in their dispute resolution? Um, Table 8, the awareness of the respondent. Table 8 depicts that the level of awareness or knowledge of the resident in terms of the Republic Act in which they mostly disagree, followed by the resident disagreeing on whether the barangay officials effectively communicated the importance and process of the Republic Act itself. To them, the then the final data is that the residents disagree on whether their fellow residents are knowledgeable about how to seek assistance from the barangay in case of a dispute. So the overall mean of 2.28 and a standard deviation of 0.72 shows that the collective data of residents who disagreed on the extensive awareness or knowledge of the effectiveness of the Katarungan Pambarangay solutions in Kutatan.
For the fifth SOT, the level of technological effectiveness of the barangay secretary CP when recording and keeping those recordings for future purposes in terms of document record. The table 9 shows that the residents' assessment on the barangay secretary's duty on recording and keeping sensitive and important documents. They mostly agree that the barangay maintains complete and detailed records of the dispute proceedings. To be followed, also agreeing that the residents can request access to relevant dispute records without unnecessary delays. Then, the residents agreed that the barangay has a reliable system for archiving dispute documents. The overall mean of 2.84 and a standard deviation of 0.53 showcase that the residents have agreed on the barangay secretary's duty of keeping and recording of records or documents that fully support their dispute resolution.
So SOP6, what is the level of effectiveness of physical infrastructure where the dispute resolution are held? So in table 10 is the resolution setting. So this table states that the results of the respondents response to the physical infrastructure when dealing with the dispute resolution. The residents agreed on the cleanliness on the facility. It is a comfortable environment for disputing parties and the proper privacy given to them, while also agreeing that the area are well ventilated. The overall mean of 2.88 and the standard deviation of 0.50 of the table tells that the residents agreed on the effectiveness of the physical infrastructure of the barangay when dealing with dispute resolution.
For the level of compliance of the barangay officials in using their power and performing their designated functions and duties in terms of compliance of the barangay officials, Table 11 shows that the level of compliance of the barangay officials in fulfilling their respective duty and functions. The residents agreed that the Lupon Tagapagpamayapa complies with all procedural requirements under the Katarungan Pambarangay system, and that the secretary provided or disseminates notices, summons, and other documents that are properly issued and recorded. The residents also agreed that the pangkat ng tagapagkasundo meets when necessary and follows due process in dispute resolution. The overall mean of 2.93 and a standard deviation of 0.53 are the evidence that the residents agreed that the barangay officials who have different duties and positions complies with the respective nature of the position.
Lastly, if there is no significant difference between respondents in the effectiveness of the Republic Act infographics for dispute resolution and request. So in the result of the survey questionnaire, it may be said that there is a significant difference between respondents in the effectiveness of the Republic itself. It shows that the individual awareness of knowledge of the resident or the respondents to their respective Republic Act may vary, that it is concluded to be disagreed by the majority of the respondents.
As an output of this research study, we have come to produce an infographic for dispute resolution in Muntinlupa City, since the results have shown that most of the residents who have answered the survey has not have the uh, awareness, has not have the much awareness about the Haturungan Pambarangay or the local government code RA number 7160. So this infographics depicts the roles of the officials from Katarungan Pambarangay, its meaning as well, and it also contains the flowchart which the residents uh, may which the reference may use as a reference in order for them to file all of the file experience the dispute resolution with their respective barangay.
So to conclude all, the study concluded that the implementation of the Katarong Pambanay law in the Barangay Putaton is effective in resolving community disputes through mediation and conciliation, which help prevent prolonged conflicts, and the system effectively promotes automatic court cases which the court can maintain and facilitate the residents. However, a low level of awareness about the Public Act 7160 and its procedures highlights the need for strong information dissemination and barangay dispute records are well organized and securely maintained, while the physical setting for proceeding is conducted with fair dialogue. Moreover, barangay officials and the Lapuan Tagapamaya are found to perform their duties diligently and um, compliance with legal and procedural standards.
And that is all for our presentation for our research study. Thank you so much for listening.